If your mic is muted, there's a little microphone icon down by your username and profile picture that's at the bottom of the voice chat kind of window here. And if you click on that mic, it mutes you. If you unclick that mic, it unmutes you. And when it's muted, there's a little line through it. Usually we keep the mics muted while somebody else is talking, just so that a plane that flies overhead doesn't, like, you know, interrupt the conversation or your phone ringing or whatever. But so if you're talking and you're not, like, nobody is responding, be sure and check that your mic isn't muted.
Hi. So I'm just going to give you all just a quick overview of the operations because it'll make understanding the Discord a little bit easier. And then Leah's going to take over and sort of talk about the technical aspects. So essentially, it's set up like this. The vast majority of what we're doing comes through the forms that people are filling out. There's a link to it in the Google Drive if you haven't seen it, but I think most of you have probably seen that form at this point. And it's just people fill out their name, what kind of assistance they need, and how to contact them. And then the first thing that happens, so step 1, they fill out the form. Step 2, a dispatcher contacts them, and there is a dispatcher training that will be happening at 7:30 if that's a role you end up interested in. So the dispatcher contacts them, kind of asks about what they need. And then step 3, that dispatcher will find the resources they need. So for example, there's a channel for food prep. They'll go to the channel for food prep and say, I have a family of 4 that needs prepped meals. Can you accommodate that? And we'll say, yes, we can accommodate that. And they'll say, great. So then if that's, for example, the only thing they need, they'll then go to the delivery channel and they'll say, hey, I have a delivery for a family of 4. You can pick meals up at CVs and then take it to them. Please let me know if you can do that. And then someone from the delivery team will say, yeah, I can make that delivery. And then the dispatcher will provide the address, in the DMs. We're I know that when people are filling out the form, there's sort of an assumption that the people on the other end are going to see it, but we're trying to keep people's contact information, and especially like their needs, because a lot of this stuff is like pretty personal. Like I need food and I need help paying my bills. Like I would not personally like my struggles broadcast to the entire world if I could help it. So trying to keep it that general asks, but then the personal information DM to people. So step 1, someone fills out the form. Step 2, they're contacted by dispatch. Step 3, dispatch acquires the resources. And then step 3, those resources get delivered. Some of the resources are not material things. So for example, if someone's like, I am, feeling lonely, or, I struggle with depression, the social isolation is really hard. Is there just someone I could talk to? Then a dispatcher would go to the emotional support channel and say, hey, I have someone who could use a phone call. Can anyone accommodate that? And then they would be like, yep, I can do that. And the dispatcher would provide, their contact information and what times were good, and they would get that set up. So that's basically the way the operations work. Sorry, one just walked into my house, so I'm going to let Leah take over for one.
This is the fun part about doing this in the middle of an emergency. Like, we're organizing to respond to the emergency that we're sitting in, which does pose some challenges for everyone. If I could basically just orient y'all to sort of the interface of Discord, and I know that there's a wide variety of experience with Discord and with sort of chat services in general. But just to make sure that everybody is kind of on the same page, like on the left-hand side, you will see left-hand top corner, you'll see Discord written out. And then below Discord, there is a logo. And if you hover your cursor over it, it will come up with home. That is where direct messages live. That's where you can send direct messages from there. There's a window you can put somebody's username in and send it from there. There's another kind of easier way too, so we'll get to that. Below that, certainly if you only have one Discord server that you're a member of, you'll see the little badger logo of the GDC. And if you hover over that, it'll be MSN COVID-19 response. That's where we are. And then if you have any other servers, they'll be listed in that column. There's some tools to add a server and server discovery. We don't need to worry about that. Then the next window to the right is going to be the text channel window. If you're all the way up on the top, that's the channel window. I think since all of y'all are down here in the voice chat, you probably have figured out how to navigate that, but text channels will become visible to you as you take on roles. Right now we have those, we used to have all of the text channels visible to everybody, more or less, and that was really overwhelming, and we just changed that last night. So if you're just coming in now, the text channels that you see are largely gated based on your role so that you don't get overwhelmed. If you want to take on a different role, we will definitely just add that. It's not like a hierarchy thing. It's just a information like interface thing. So your channels live there. The text channels are on the top. The voice channels are beneath it. You're in one of the voice channels, so you know this. I'm just saying it. And then the next window to the right is if you are in a text channel, that's where the channel appears. Read this first. That was, I think your first channel that you landed into was read this first, and then organizing chat. So if you went to organizing chat, you see obviously the message traffic that's there, but the next channel the next column, I'm sorry, to the right, you'll see usernames. And those usernames are the people who have that channel. So if you go into organizing chat, you'll see pretty much all of the mods who are online up on top. Then you'll see it's broken out by role. Then there's some dispatch people, then food security, so on and so forth. People who don't have a role are under just online. And then offline are all of the people who are members of that channel, but are not currently online. Above that, there's a bar across the top of the screen. There's a search window. To the left of that, you'll see a member list. You can click on that and see all of the member names. And then there's a pinned message icon, and that's actually super important. Any pinned messages for that particular text channel are going to live there. If there are pinned messages, there'll be a little red dot. And we put things like instructions, protocols, files, that sort of thing for the individual channels under the pinned message icon. So that is very briefly a tour of the window. If you need to message someone in a channel, then you go down to the, like under organizing chat. If I was going to message CV, I would just type the @ symbol, and then I would start typing C and then V, and then their name would come up. And then I would just left click on them, and then I would say, hi, and then hit enter, and it will appear. So that's basically how you do it sort of manually. You can also right click on a name, and you'll see a window will come up, and there's profile that just shows you whoever it is that you clicked on's profile. And then you can go down to mention, and mention will do basically the same thing. It will bring up that name and allow you to mention them publicly in that text channel. Beneath that is message, and that's the kind of easy way to private message someone, to direct message them, so that you don't have to enter their @name in that Discord home icon that's on the far left top. Each individual text channel has a specific kind of purpose to it, and it's fairly important for the way that we organize that we kind of respect that purpose, and you'll see what I mean. So just make sure, yeah. So some channels are very general and are basically open for discussion. So those are like the chat channels. Organizing chat, which is what you first visited on sort of joining, that has just general chat, general discussion about current events that impact our aid efforts, or for ideas or questions. You introduced yourself in it. when you first joined, you ask for roles in it. It doesn't, like, it's not social hangout. Like, it should ideally be focused more around how we are actually accomplishing what we're trying to accomplish, but it's not specifically focused on one specific, like, mission, if that makes sense. And then there's social hangout, and that's just basically, I mean, what it sounds like. You know, we're in the middle of a stressful situation. It's just sometimes good to take a break, and that's where people just kind of hang out and post stuff, and that's very general. Then we have really more specific purpose channels, like dispatch. Dispatch is, I mean, there's trainings on how dispatchers dispatch things, but that is entirely focused on dispatching and how they want to organize the process of dispatching. So I wouldn't like post anything that was like an organizing chat thing there. Delivery coordination is, I think, even more narrow. That's just people posting, trying to get delivery requests fulfilled, essentially. And so we wouldn't want to post anything in delivery coordination that was like, that should live in the dispatch channel unless it really impacted delivery coordination. So it's really like on topic, I guess is the best way to put it. In medical support and I think emotional support, childcare organizing, there's some other channels that are a little bit blended that are not so like narrowly focused. Like under medical support, which is just the one that I'll talk about because that's the one that I'm the resource person for. We talk about the medical situation that's developing and medical resources in the community, in addition to answering medical calls that dispatch posts there. So it's kind of a mix of the two. And so what I would advise is when you get a role, just kind of lurk for a couple of minutes or so, just to get the kind of feel of like, you know, what people are asking, what people are saying. It's not like a huge deal. If you have a question, just ask it. But just to keep in mind that the non-social channels are pretty on task for what's being posted in them, and some of them have their own protocols and kind of, I don't know, formats for posting that you'll pick it up really quickly, but just be mindful of that.
I know that a lot of y'all can't see all of these channels because, and it's something I set up to try to make everyone's experience a little bit less overwhelming, especially for people who are new to Discord. Is it's like when I assigned you a task, you'll only see those channels, the channels that are relevant to. Some of the tasks will give you multiple channels. Like for example, the fundraising channel can also see the delivery channel, and the medical support can also see the delivery channel. Part of that is because, you know, if you're doing fundraising, you might want to say something like, we just sent food to a family of 10 just 5 minutes ago. You know, you may want to know exactly what our operations look like. And the other thing I would say, did you touch on the financial channel yet, Leah?
I did not.
Channel that's all of our internal financial stuff. So anytime someone requests money for, you know, I'm going to go buy groceries, or can someone Venmo this family $30 to cover groceries or something like that. And anyone can see that at any time. If you would want to see the internal finances of the organization, we try to track everything we do there just for transparency. But the only thing is, only dispatch can post to it, just to keep it clear, because if it's going to be transparent, it needs to be easily readable and not like, you know, have a bunch of conversation going on in it, so that people can see, okay, in the last, you know, 3 days we've expensed X amount of money for these particular things. And so you're welcome to have access to that. Like we said, the channels and like the dispatch levels and all this stuff are just to make people's experience easier. You're welcome to see anything you want, right? Like this is not a hierarchy. Anyone can be assigned any role that they would like to take on or would like to see the channels for. The one other thing I'll add real quick is If you are someone who wants to see a bunch of stuff but doesn't anticipate doing dispatch, there's something called a generalist we can tag you as, and that just opens up all of the channels except the dispatch channels, because the dispatch channels, again, do contain people's personal information. And so it's not that they're restricted. You're welcome to see them if you want to, but we're just trying to create some level of what's the word I'm looking for? Not isolation, but you get what I mean, just to respect people's information.
Does anybody have any questions? Questions about process, questions about interface?
My question is specifically for somebody that just wanted groceries. I guess maybe what's the difference between supplies, food security, and delivery coordination? I guess I'm not. So, like, for example, I've got a request for just groceries. Am I going to food security? Or I guess that's a particular example.
No, that's a great example. That's a really good question. So food security is primarily prepared meals. So these are people who are cooking. The supplies, I just kind of made that channel today because I have a bunch of stuff stored at my house. It's kind of been like the centralized hub of all of the materials we have. And so I tried to keep a running list there that's like, we have prepared food we can offer people, and we're trying to do that more than we do groceries to the extent we can, just because it's more cost efficient per meal for us to do it that way. And we do anticipate, as things get worse and as people, go more time without work, we're probably going to want to conserve our funds and make them stretch to the most available. And so food security is all about efficiently feeding people good, nutritious food for as little cost as possible. And then supplies is just like, here's a running tally of all the other stuff I have that we definitely can give to people, especially if they're specifically asking for something. And then there was one other channel that you also, the delivery one. The delivery one, so the people cooking, like me, I'm trying not to leave my house at all because I don't want any risk of bringing coronavirus into the place where we store all of our stuff. And the same thing is kind of true with the other people who are doing food prep. And so the delivery channel is just to coordinate. I need someone who is not, who clears our questionnaire that's like, you can't have symptoms, you can't have traveled, you can't be around someone who tested positive. So delivery is just to coordinate those people to pick things up from us and to bring them somewhere else.
Okay, thanks. And I guess just one more about just groceries. So in the case, like for the example that I had, they'd be cool with just going to the food pantry, but they can't leave the house. Would that even be something that just could be short circuited to delivery coordination and just saying this is what we're looking for. We're looking for somebody to go pick food up for this particular family.
Yeah, that's exactly what you would do. Especially, and as much as I said that we're trying to conserve our resources with regards to groceries, a lot of these families are not, struggling. Like, they're happy to give us money to go do the grocery shopping. They just need someone to do that. You can absolutely just route that straight through the deliveries channel.
And if you want to know more about like dispatching, there is the dispatching training that is going to be at 7:30 tonight, same place as we are now. It's not like, it is a really good training. I actually just did it, I think either yesterday or the day before. All of the days are blending together for me at this point, but it is a really good training to do. It makes everything make a lot of sense. And it's a place that we actually need people to be directing their attention, at least at the moment. We have a backlog. So anyone who's interested in really like getting into that, feel free to go to that training if you can. If you can't, we're going to be doing more at other times.
I have been lurking since like pretty early on Sunday, so I have like access to like a lot, and it's kind of confusing. So like most of the like Google Drive, Google Docs, looking at responses, that's all like in the dispatch realm of things. So I should just like, if I have questions about that, that's mostly just confirming that that's in the scope of dispatch, and I should save that for later.
Yeah, there are some things in the drive. And also, if you would like, I'm happy to, you're currently listed as a dispatcher, which is why you have access to everything. I'm also happy to take that off and give you specific channels to make it less overwhelming. But most of the resources in the drive are dispatch related, especially like the big files of all of the available resources we have. But there are specific folders in there, like there's a medical support file, and that has the questionnaire that we use to screen people to kind of like tell them whether or not we think that they should be calling, like, not going to the ER, but calling the ER for a formal medical screening, or if it's like pretty clear that they don't have coronavirus, we can also kind of tell them that. So there's like other folders in there for specific roles. Also, if you're looking for that folder, if you go to the Read This First, underneath the intro post, I made a second post that's like, here's a link to our Google Drive. If you go into that Google Drive, all of these Google links are coming from that Google Drive folder. There's definitely a learning curve, and I just want you all to know that we are, at any point, we'll hop into a voice channel and answer questions, in the like chats. I know that Discord is not immediately intuitive for everyone, and so please don't hesitate to ask us about how this functions going forward beyond right now.
Feel free to offer suggestions about how things are organized. We're probably going to, we reorganized stuff yesterday just because this is expanded really quickly on us, and we needed to restructure things. That's unfortunately, this is probably going to continue for quite some time, and so we're probably going to be reorganizing things again and again.
Right now, though, what we have has been working pretty well, and every time we've reorganized, it's been like minor stuff. It's been just like, now we have it set up so everyone has tags, and so the reorganizations won't be very significant like they were last night. I think the system works really well. But yeah, we would also love to hear people's opinion about how the server could be made more efficient and intuitive.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I have a quick one. Is food prep primarily in our own house, or is there a place to go for that?
We're working on getting access to like Feed Kitchen or something. Right now it's been in our own homes following the sterilization protocols that are in the Google Drive in the food prep folder. But yeah, for right now it's just, and also to kind of keep us quarantined and isolated too as people who are preparing food. We do have gloves for food preppers, and we also have 70% isopropyl wipes that we can provide you with. But soap and hot water really is the best thing for a virus. But 70% isopropyl alcohol will also definitely.
Who do I talk to about getting screened to be a delivery person?
You can DM me. I also can just ask you right now, and then you'll be good. Have you traveled out of the state in the last 30 days? Are you showing any symptoms, and have you been around anyone who's tested positive?
No to any of those.
Great. Thanks, Meg.
Feel free to ask us. Feel free to post questions in any of the chat channels. Feel free to go to the other trainings. We're all trying to figure this out and trying to deal with this together.
All the different ways to respond, like via thumbs up or liking things or quoting a response, or are there any sort of general recommendations on those types of protocols, or is it sort of like by channel?
That is a really good question, and also that just reminded me that I have how to thumbs up thing. So thank you for that. Yeah, that protocol is generally kind of unique to the channels. Some channels use that to acknowledge that somebody is going to take something. Usually they say thumbs up and then DM me for details. And the thumbs up is just to make sure that two people don't both DM for details at the same time. So it's just for organization. But in order to actually respond to somebody with a thumbs up, you basically just hover your cursor over their over what they've said, and a little thumbs up icon kind of appears, little eyes icon, laughing face, and then there's also a add reaction that allows you to search to import or to use a different icon other than those three, and you would just click thumbs up out of that. So yeah, there are some channels that's just a, hey, you said something good. I agree. And then there are other channels where that's a, hey, I'm going to take this, I'm going to DM you. And it should be really straightforward and clear just by looking at the message traffic in the channel, which that is.
Yeah, specifically for the finance channel, using the, quote response, I'm trying to keep just to when people pick up one of the requests. But that's just for the finance channel.
To follow up on what Stevie just said, don't be afraid to step back and gather yourself and take care of yourself. Self-care is very important. You're going to hear me hammer that pretty much anytime I get the chance. We can't take care of our neighbors. We can't take care of each other, and we, aren't going to do any good if we're not taking care of ourselves. So reach out for literally anything that anyone can do to help you. Okay.